Oh, it's going. Oh, I see. It's pretty dark. Okay, turn it on. Oh, I like it. I don't care. I like it. I like it like that. No, I don't want it. I don't like that. I hate that too. Oh, oh, you put it in the yellow mode, which is nice. Okay, I like that.
Better than nothing.
All right, thank you, sweetie. All right, great. Thank you. Let me know if you need anything from me. I don't mind pausing. Okay.
I'm done.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Done.
How did we do?
Fine. We'll talk about it later.
All right, good. Done. Taxes are done. All right, good. That's good. Oh, we're live. We're live. Thank you. All right, and I'm working on my exercise. I say I'm putting that down. Okay, good. Anyway, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It was 100 days as it says, and now we're in the countdown. We're definitely in the jaws of destruction, and it's interesting. How it's with this Iran war that we're coming to the end of a fossil fuel era, and it's like sad to say every time I hear that the Iranians are mad and they're going to stop. I mean, what they're saying is they want the end of industrialized civilization. They want to make it very hard for America. Okay, fine. We always said when they turn it off, and I always asked Cougar W, like, who is going to turn it off? But there it is. It's being turned off, right? And it's a world economy that we're under. Even though they say, we have a lot of fossil fuels, and that was the whole thing. It's like the whole thing was pushing to become, what is it? What they call all, not all hands on deck, but all methods of fossil fuel of energy we were going to use. All the above. Energy, and that we needed. Oh, and the big thing is we needed to have local production, but it turns out that it's on the all oil and gas goes onto a public public I don't know, monetary fund or something. I don't know what it's exactly called, but it goes into a public. All the oil and gas is combined. It's like we don't have access to ours because it's like it's open on the public area, and then the highest bidder gets the oil and gas, and that's why we're seeing so many of the countries that are low income countries like the Philippines. They've already declared a emergency, an energy emergency, because they most likely can't pay as much as the European countries or the Western countries. So the oil and gas is on a bid. I guess they bid on it. I don't know, but basically we, even though we are drilling for it and causing all the problems from drilling for the oil and gas, it goes onto an open market. I don't know all the details, but and even now, like what's happening right now with our oil and gas, and the impacts that we're experiencing are not really from the current situation. That oil and gas that we're paying a lot of money for now is from before the Iran war, and now, so it's only going to get worse. And it's just like with climate change, that what we're experiencing now, the heat and the global heating, the fires, the extreme heat that we've been experiencing all of March, the fires, the floods around the world, all that is from fossil fuels that we used 20 years ago. And there's a 20-year delay. So that's the reality. And I don't know how I was thinking about that in relationship to what I was talking about, but I was just saying that the oil and gas that we're paying for now is from 2 or 3 weeks ago that we had. And so when it's just going to start hitting us harder as the problems have increased and the availability has increased. So it's just going to get worse. And that's what everybody's saying, is that we've got to learn to live without the fossil fuels. And that's what we've been saying all along, is that we need to do that. And so now we're in the jaws of destruction. So we're here. And Iran, that was it. So the war in Iran is giving us threatening us with, you know, and now Trump is saying that he wants to go. I don't know. I haven't seen the news since this morning or so, but he's saying he's going to go into that island. I forget the name with the K, and he wants the oil. That's what Cougar W says. Trump is now wanting the Iran oil and having control, and he wants. Oh, he wants. I did see that today that he wants to call it the Strait of Trump. He doesn't want it to be the Strait of Hormuz. He wants it to be the Strait of Trump. Oh, okay, fine. So these are the problems that we're going to have, and that's what everybody's saying is that, well, our global heating doesn't pay any attention to the politics, religion, or economics, and so it's just going off the scale. Our global heating, and that's the reality. So we're going to have to learn to live without it, and it's going to go away from global heating or from this war and all the things. So, we've got to, that's what everybody's saying is that's what Rupert Reed was. He had a good talk, and he was saying, we've got to get to the lifeboat, which is what Cougar W has been saying. It was in his book. He says the book it was 100 Days, an end of civilization novel. So that's the important part is the end of civilization novel. And so, so that's what we have to do is figure out how to live without it. And it's only going to get worse. So that's where we're at. And what else? So that's the good news. No, I don't know. The good news. Well, I say it's the good news because, and I always say is like when I see the problems in the Middle East, it's like, okay, like let's bring it on because, that's putting an end to fossil fuel use. And we have to do that because it's destroying us. And so, nobody else was going to turn it off. So now Iran is turning it off and they're mad at us. So, so good. Yeah. So I guess that was, it is good that it's getting turned off. That's all I guess I'm saying is that, and it's happening. So we have to get ready for that to happen. And so that's what Rupert Reed is saying in his, what does he call it? The Climate Majority Project, that he says it's all about adaptation, and that we can have agency with adaptation. Like, because, he's been involved as a climate activist for like the last 40 years or something. And so basically he's saying from the UK, that we, just like Cougar W has been saying, we've hit the iceberg, the figurative iceberg, and get to the figurative lifeboat. And what Cougar W says is the lifeboat is village life. And everybody talks about it. Everybody says that we need to have a hyper-local economy. And that's what Rupert Reed says too, and know your neighbors and get to know your neighbors and create relationships so that when the going gets tough and the tough get going, or whatever the expression is, that we know how that we can help each other and we know each other and we're not fearful of each other. And, so it's just, and they supposedly have some kind of manual of how to get to know your neighbors or something. But I guess the thing is get to know your neighbors. It's not hard to do, but that's what we have to do. And so, I haven't been very good at that because I haven't been going out that much. But here, I'm going to step on this. But I've been growing my food, so I've been doing that. And I do know my neighbor, and I have this neighbor she's Indian, and she wants to learn to grow. She wants to start a microgreen business. And I guess Cougar W was saying it could be that, people that are here on the H-1B visa want to have a business because, if they get laid off, then they could have to go back to India. And if they don't want to do that, which I'm sure she doesn't, and her and her husband and her child that, if they had a business, it's like a plan B. So she needs her plan B. But I'm so happy because I've been talking to her about, that we need to grow food and things like that. And so anyway, so she contacted me and she wants to grow microgreens. So, and have a business. She wants a business. And I don't see myself doing a business, but I am interested in teaching her how to do a business. So, not the business part of it, more how to do the microgreens. So, because I would like to have those and eat those. So I've been working on my microgreens. Oh, I guess, yeah. And so I grew my mustard microgreens. They didn't grow very tall. I got something from our neighborhood garden shop. It's called Valley Verde, and they're a nonprofit. And I helped them with some interview that I did for them, talking to them. And so they gave me this little microgreen. It was a 5x5 little container, but I'm going to work on a 10x20. So I figured out that I was wanting to use my compost. Like I sift my compost and it makes a really nice fine matter. However, they say that it's better to have something inert. So I guess I have to buy, which is kind of sad because, how to have something sustainable, because they said that, right. It is kind of a bummer because, well, that's what Google says. And I do love my Google and she does help me with everything. But Gemini is unbelievable. And so, but, she was saying, okay, use the coir because it's inert. And then you won't have any kind of mold or things like that. But we won't have coir. When we turn off the fossil fuels, we're not going to have coir being shipped to the PetSmart that would, come from some Philippines or Hawaii or somewhere where they grow coconuts. I'm not growing any coconuts. So I really like using my compost. But she said, no, it's got too many molds. And I mean, I've grown microgreens on compost. I used to grow my own wheatgrass. So I don't know. So, I mean, I'm not going to use the dirt. I mean, of course, I cut it above the dirt. But anyway, now she's saying that, but I'll have to see about that because, even what's his name? One of the big gardeners. Well, I don't know. I mean, he grows his seedlings. He's a European guy from compost and just uses compost. But they said they were worried about, Google was saying she was worried about like mold or something, or some kind of, I know that my compost grows other things because there are seeds in there and stuff like that will come out. So it's not inert enough where you just put on your own seeds that you want to grow. Because I know, and that's where I get a lot of my seeds. My seedlings is from volunteers because I'm not planting it. I don't know what happened. I tried to plant these asparagus from asparagus seeds. I thought I was really cutting a fat hog because asparagus, when you buy them as bare root, they're pretty expensive. And then I blew it because somebody was helping me and I forgot that my asparagus was in that bed. And I said to clear the weeds and he pulled out all the weeds. And I knew that the better thing is to cut, but I thought, oh, well, whatever, let it go. And so they say not to disturb the soil. And that would have been much better because whatever happened over there in that bed, I think I lost all my asparagus because he pulled out a lot of the weeds and pull. And that's what you don't want to do with asparagus. And anyway, so I didn't really get any asparagus. I guess there's some in the bed that I never cleared, but that bed had some. Now I don't see any. Anyway, so I have to really label the beds. And some people say with asparagus to go ahead and not grow anything else in that bed. But of course, I couldn't stand to not have anything else in the bed. So I put other things that they say can go companion planting with asparagus. But you really have to label that there's asparagus there so you don't pull them up at the end of the season. And you're not supposed to do that anyway. A lot of the good gardeners say to just cut your weeds or your dead plants at the at the bottom of the dirt, at the, or at the top of the dirt. So, and you just leave all the roots, and that's part of what they call the rhyosphere. I think it's the rhyosphere, which is the soil, and it's the whole life that's going on under the ground there. And so I think it's the rhizosphere. I think it's a rhizosphere. Anyway, so then I should have done that and not had anybody pull anything out, but cut it, and that would have been better. So live and learn, and then just better labeling. I'm going to buy some really nice metal labels that say asparagus, so I don't forget where my asparagus is, because they die back and then you don't see them. Anyway, so that was that. Oh, and then I guess I'm growing green stalks, and I was going to do my strawberries, which I really am going to buy the strawberries as a what do they call it, bare root too, and put them in my green stalk. What's really nice about the green stalk, which is a vertical garden with pockets, is that it's nice for the strawberries, is that what is it? What was I going to say? That well, is that they're not on the ground. Like when I put strawberries on the ground, they get eaten by the insects and stuff, and the micro whatever the little insects in the ground, and then you don't see them that easily and things like that. Where if you grow it vertically and they just hang over the top, there's not any exposure to insects, and that's why they say that strawberries, they use a lot of pesticides on strawberries because they are growing them on the ground. Anyway, so I'm not using pesticides. But then I've been also looking into how to grow my own fertilizers again, because we're not going to be able to. Well, that was the whole thing with the what's happening with the Iran war, is the problem with fertilizers. And that whole thing the curtain has been drawn on the fact that it all comes from natural gas, our fertilizers. But you don't have to use that. You could use, so what I was trying to use is, and I've done it before, but I want to do it better and be more regular about it, where and I guess I really have to do this, especially if I'm doing potted plants and things like that, which is the green stalk. So basically I was going to make compost tea. And so I was going to buy this aerator, and it was like $100 and something. And then I was going to buy a bubbler. So you have the aerator, which brings air, but then the bubbler makes bubbles, and then that puts more air throughout the whole column of water. And then, of course, you have to use no gray water. I have to use fresh water. So that was that. And then this company, but it was a good company, but it was going to be like, I don't know, $140. And then you get a little bag, a special bag. I could do it cheaper, but I might just do it with this company. And they had a little recipe of how to do the, what do you call it? The worm compost. So basically you take like 5 cups of compost and maybe 1 cup of worm compost. So, and I have all of that. So that's cool. And then you just put it in the little bag, and then you sit it in there for 24 hours. And then you could take it 1 to 2, 1 part of the compost tea to 2 parts of water, like double the amount of water. And then they're saying to, water your plants with that compost tea every 2 weeks. All right, so I have to do that. So I've been doing that, doing a lot of gardening stuff, but I haven't been going to my neighbors. And now I was doing my talking with you, and Cougar W was doing our taxes, so I wanted to stay around just in case there was any questions. But he's done, and so I was, and my son's girlfriend said if I did not use my treadmill, she was going to take it. So they want me to exercise. So I was threatened, but I really do like my treadmill. And I've been having trouble, where if I fell, I don't like falling. So so I'm a little nervous sometimes going out with my walking sticks, but I will do it. But anyway, it's nice to be on the treadmill and nice to talk to you all. And so anyway, what else? Yeah, so that's what we have to get ready for is village life where all our needs are met by ourselves and our neighbors. And so I guess I have to convince my neighbors to start growing food too. And that's the hard challenge. It's not easy. So I guess, but things are getting so bad now and expensive. That's what they're saying is that there's going to be a food shortage because of the lack of the fertilizers that is created. And even they say the reason why we have, what is it that Cougar W says, 800 million people, otherwise known as or is it 8,000 million people, something like that. Well, anyways, 8 billion people is because we've been able to send food from all our fossil fuel growing. Then we have an amazing amount of food that we produce from that fertilizer, from that fossil fuel. It just like it produces so much work for us, it also produces so much food. It's a lot of stored solar energy, and we get that. So the crops grow bigger and more and all that stuff, and it's just putting some powder on, and it does it. You don't have to make your compost tea and make your compost, and it's a lot harder, but I'm gonna do it. We have to figure it out. We don't want to use fossil fuels, and we're not going to have it. So that's what I've been doing is learning to live without it for a long time. So that was that. And what else? So, and I guess Cougar W wanted to put his books in our free book. We have in our neighborhood, we have free book libraries. And so he wanted to put it there. And then my girlfriend was telling me, like in Hawaii, the free food that she gets in Hawaii, they don't have much, but California has got a lot of free food. And so we're very wealthy. But now they're saying is the Trump administration is going to be cutting back on the food, food available, the food support. And I'm sure it was, during the Biden administration and by COVID, the federal government really supported the food banks. But now they're saying the federal government's going to cut those programs. So anyway, so we have to figure out, and then food is going to get more expensive too. That's the problem. So maybe people will be excited about growing food because and we have to, like I said, and I did send something to somebody, well, who was it? It was my friend who's running for city council in Los Gatos. And I told her about, we need to, just like my son, when he ran for city council and mayor, his platform was based on the science from his father, Cougar W. And it was keep fossil fuels in the ground and make San Jose a food garden again. And so I was saying that to my girlfriend, who's she's a Facebook friend, and I don't know if we met each other in real life. I feel like I have met her. But anyway, she's running for city council in Los Gatos, and I said that make Los Gatos a food garden again and keep fossil fuels in the ground. And she liked that, and she commented back saying, well, we're building community gardens. But I was saying that we need to, all of us, grow food locally. And that is we need to become patrons of husbandry. That's what we do need to become, right. And that's the Grange movement. And they were called the patrons of husbandry in the late 1800s. And we need to become, all of us, patrons of husbandry, to be stewards of this earth. And even in terms of the monarch butterflies going extinct. But like I said, we had 2 caterpillars, but now I don't see them. Maybe they got eaten by the birds. You know, that could have been it. They were doing good. I had the milkweed. It was not the right milkweed. It was a tropical milkweed. I'm supposed to have native milkweed, but they were here and they were eating my. We had two caterpillars, and but now I don't see them. So I'm sure a bird. We do have birds coming to our yard because we have a fountain, and they love the fountain, and they love the garden and all that stuff. And where was I? Yeah, they like the mess too. Like I was seeing them on a tree that we have in the side yard, and it's kind of messy where there's like leaves and stuff. They love that too because they could get stuff for their their nests and things like that. Anyway, what was I saying? That I don't remember. What was he talking about? Anyway, oh, my girlfriend, yeah, Los Gatos. But then one thing Cougar W was saying is that Los Gatos is the foothill of the Santa Cruz Mountains, and there's a lot of people that live in the mountains up there, and that doesn't have really good land to grow. And we have the land here in the valley is the most, it's called the Valley of Heart's Delight, and you don't have that up in the mountains. So again, with Los Gatos, it's sort of a mixture of the valley and the mountains, and it's gorgeous, but we can't really be living in the mountains because we can't survive up there because you don't have the soil that you have in the valley. So that was one of his comments. So anyway, and what else is going on in the world? Let's see. Oh, Hawaii is just such a mess, and that was so much rain. And yeah, and that's all from our global heating. And what else? Oh, they were saying, Cougar W was reading something today, and it was all about the droughts. We have so many droughts. And then we were listening to Daniel Swain, who's a UCLA graduate student or whatever he is, and PhD, and he has his channel, but it's sponsored by some company. And he is talking about how low the reservoirs are, and how that when the ice is and that's what he was talking about with the Rockies. Cougar W was talking about the Rockies, and the Rockies are not getting the ice is melting early because of global heating, and therefore the reservoirs and the lakes. What is it called? There's two reservoirs that are being from the Rocky Mountains, and that's where the states of Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, and it's very low because the ice is melting off of the Rockies, and they said even the hydropower that they're getting from that at this reservoir. I forgot the names of them, but we're just having a big drought. Even they were saying Florida is in a drought. And my sister has lived in Florida, and she says it's raining all the time, but not now. And she doesn't talk to me, so I haven't gotten the update from her. Anyways, so yeah, I think it's the Hoover Dam. Is it the Hoover Dam? And then anyway, it was these. Yeah, I think part of it is the Hoover Dam. Anyway, we're having what he calls, there was a name where it's so low, the water, that they won't be able to pipe it out because it's too low. They call it dead pool. And so so we have problems with the Colorado, what is it called? The Colorado River, I guess it's the Colorado River. And the supplies, because of the global heating, melting the ice, and we didn't get that much snow. We're not getting snow. We're getting a lot of rain. We're not getting the snow. Even like Cougar W, who's from Paradise and Magalia, he's what? Oh, I hear him, but he's talking to somebody. Oh, he's talking, and this is not right. There's something wrong with this. I just realized I do have to lock these handles down. I got to get that because it was moving back. But anyway, I'll push on it this way. Anyway, and so what was he saying? Oh, he just says the snow is not coming at the low levels like in Magalia, which is like 2,500 feet. You're not getting snow. We're not getting snow on the very, very high, like 9,000 feet or 10,000. It's just very high, and we're just not getting, because of our global heating, we're not getting that much snow, and then we don't get as much water, rain, and hydro. So, we've got a lot of problems. Anyway, let's see where I am with my numbers, how long I've been doing this. Maybe I was listening to this terrible story of this woman whose husband tried to kill her. And that was terrible. So anyway, I guess I have 3 more minutes to get to 30. I'll do 30. Okay, good. Anyway, and then I'll make my vegan dinner. I don't know. I guess I was going to make zucchini, where I make it into spaghetti with my spiralizer, and onions, and saute the onions, and then spiralize the zucchini, and then saute the whole thing. But I don't really have a really good tomato sauce. I had a really good bottled tomato sauce, but I can make tomato sauce. And then that was that. What else? Oh, we had a really good salad last night. And it was shredded. I shredded the, what do they call it? They're delicious. I shredded my, what was it called? Turnips. I shredded my turnips. I didn't even peel it. I just put it in the shredder in my food processor. And then I put it in the fine shredder. That was delicious. And then my cabbage, I put in another thing of the food processor, which I call number 4. It's sort of like it just cuts it it's got a cutting blade, and it's not as fine as shredding. And so we did that. And then I make my own sauerkraut. Oh, and then I did make, today I made, I made granola. And so that was good. Lots of seeds and nuts and oats and some honey. And that was really basically it. And it was really easy. So that was good. And when I also made these pickled onions, pickled red onions, they're really good. So I just wanted some, even though they're not as good as fermented, but it was like what's nice about pickling is it happens right away. So my red onions are ready to eat because they're just pickled with vinegar, apple cider vinegar, water, honey, a little bit of salt. And then you boil it and throw it over the onions, thinly sliced. So I made my pickled onions. And then what else did we have last night? Oh, so I used my sauerkraut, and I made this avocado dressing, which is still good. So that's cool. And just with fresh avocados, just blending it. And these avocados are from a neighbor, Marshall's friend, Carlos, even brought them over to us. So that was so wonderful. And anyway, so we made a dressing. I just threw the avocados. What did I put it? I think I put it in the food processor. The avocados, I don't even take the skin off because they're just this little thin skin. But I didn't even take it off. And they were a little bit chunky, but when you put it on a salad, it was fine. And lemon juice, some olive oil, lemon juice, but not much because the avocados have so much oil. And then lemon juice, garlic, lots of garlic. So lots of garlics. And that was it, basically, and blended it. I think that was it, lemon juice. All right, sweeties, we love you. Nice talking to everybody. Don't forget to subscribe, buy me a coffee, buy Cougar W's book. It was 100 days. And he's working on another book, which I think sounds exciting. It's called Ariadne, The Rise of AI and the Fall of Man. Well, that's where we're at. All right, sweeties. You have a good night. Bye. Hey, Google, turn off the treadmill. Hey, Google, turn off the treadmill. Oh, good. I love that. I love my Google. All right, we love you. Bye.
I couldn't find a device named Tree. Please set up your devices in the Google Home app.
Oh, I guess I'm trying to use my finger, but it doesn't work that way. I have to use my mouse.